on doing some weekly book talks to be able to encourage you guys to keep reading, even though we aren't physically on our campus and everything, because there's some really great books that are out there right now. I've been doing a lot of reading as I've been home, and so what I want to do is each week I'm going to come to you guys and give you guys one book recommendation and kind of let you know how you can access it from home, because I know you can't go to our library, you can't go to the public library, but there are a lot of resources out there that can help you still find books. So this one that I want to talk about today, I just finished. It's an amazing book, and there are ways that you can access it from home for free. So that makes it even better to be able to talk about. So if you've ever heard me, book talk books like The Hate You Give or Unbroken before, when I talk about those kinds of books, I always talk about how they are 5-star books. In my opinion, 5 stars is the highest rating that I can give a book. And what makes the difference between a book that's like 4 stars that I really liked and a book that's 5 stars is that a 5-star book changes me. It changes my perspective on the world. It changes the way I thought about something. And that's what really distinguishes it. And this book that I just read is a 5-star book. And I think that it's not only an important book, but it's a book that if you read it right now, I think it can be something that is really powerful. So that book is Refugee by Alan Gratz. Alan Gratz is a very popular author, not just in our library, but in the young adult and middle grade book world. Technically, this is a middle grade book, meaning it's written for grades 6 through 8. By no means does it mean that a high schooler or an adult cannot enjoy this book. As an adult, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think any high school student that reads it would really love it and enjoy it too. It transcends just being a middle grade book. So what is this book about? So as the title implies right here, Refugee is about 3 different kids who are refugees. So they're all escaping some sort of war in their country, and it takes place in different time eras. The first one is Joseph. Joseph's story takes place in Nazi Germany in 1939. Then there's Isabel. Isabel's story takes place in 1994 in Cuba under Fidel Castro's regime. And then there is Mahmoud, who lives in Syria in 2012 under Bashar al-Assad's regime. So each of them is facing war in their own country. So for Joseph, it's the Nazi regime. He is a Jew. His father ends up getting taken away and taken to a concentration camp. Long story short, his father is returned to them under the condition that they all leave the country. And so they board a ship to go to Cuba and become refugees in Cuba. Them, along with a lot of other Jews, are heading over to Cuba. In Isabel's world in 1994, she and her family, her father has gotten in trouble in the past for speaking out against the government. And under Castro's regime, you did not speak out against the government. It could get you jailed. It could get you killed. And so at this point in time, Castro has allowed anybody who wants to leave. And so that's what they decide to do. They and their neighbors get like a fishing boat. Isabel sells her prized trumpet to be able to get gasoline for them, and they are heading towards Miami in this small fishing boat crammed with 9 people on it. In Mahmoud's 2012 Syria, what he is dealing with is he's dealing with the Syrian civil war that is all a part of the Arab Spring. It's a very complicated situation, but the long and the short of it is that Assad, who is the president of Syria, has a very oppressive regime. There's all of these uprisings against him that want to oust him as president, and he's absolutely squashed crushes them, and it causes this huge civil war with a lot of different people involved, and innocent civilians just sort of caught in the middle, including Mahmoud's family. And so they decide to leave. They actually have a decent amount of money. His apartment ends up getting bombed. A whole side of it ends up getting blown to smithereens. And so they decide to just flee. Their goal is to get to Germany. Because then, true story, really happened. Countries like Germany and Austria took on a lot of refugees from the Syrian civil war and from Arab Spring just in general. So it's about their journey from Syria trying to get all the way to Germany. It is an incredibly powerful story. It is absolutely action-packed. One of the best parts about this book is that it has really short chapters. It just goes from one character to another, to another, to another very quickly. It is filled with action from the first moment you open up this book. Nazi officers are knocking down the door of Joseph's home and taking his dad away. And so it starts you off right in the action and does not let up for the entire book. It will keep you turning the pages. And even though it does switch between those 3 points of view fairly quickly in a fast-paced way, you never lose track of who you're talking about and everything, because you always go in that order. Joseph, Isabel, Mahmoud. Joseph, Isabel, Mahmoud. So it makes it a little bit easier to be able to keep track of it. And eventually you find that their stories very much parallel each other, reflect each other, and they get intertwined at points as well. The reason why this book for me is really a 5-star book as opposed to a 4-star book is that it really made me appreciate everything I have and made me so happy that I was born where I was. And as much as right now, when we're all in social isolation and we're stuck in our houses and we, may get frustrated and we may get depressed when we read the news these days and everything, this book made me re-examine all of my gripes and made me realize that, I've got a lot to be thankful for, because what these 3 young people have to go through just to be able to live, to eat, to survive, is just absolutely incredible. So it's a really powerful story. This is a story that any age can enjoy. Boys and girls will like equally, and one I think that is really, it may sound like a downer to read something that's called Refugee while we're all stuck in this quarantine and everything, but I promise you it's really, really worth it. So now where exactly can you get this book? Because I am holding the physical copy that we have in the Ponderosa Library. We actually have 2. And I got really lucky. Usually we don't have this book in. It's always checked out. So I got lucky and grabbed it before everything went down. So you can get this book in 2 places for free. One of those places, and it's the audiobook that you can get for free. I listened to the audiobook, and I thought it was really well done. It's done by 3 different narrators for the 3 different voices. So it makes it really easy to keep track of it. One of those places where you can get this ebook for free is Spotify. If you have the premium version of Spotify, look up Refugee by Alan Gratz. You can listen to the whole entire audiobook on your phone for free. It's on there. If you don't have the premium version, the problem is when you try to access any audiobook, including Refugee, on Spotify, is it's going to want to shuffle play it. That's the only option that you get if you have a free account. So what you can do though, if you have a free account, is you can go onto your desktop computer and access Spotify. And if you access it that way, then you can choose the chapters that you want to listen to as opposed to listening to them all out of order. But if you have the premium version, then you can listen to it on your phone and make sure that you listen to the tracks in the order and you don't shuffle it. So you can do that. We have a reading resources website that the 4 librarians have put together, there is actually a spreadsheet under the audiobooks tab of all the audiobooks that are available on Spotify that are young adult. There are quite a few, and there are hyperlinks on that spreadsheet as well. So you can just click on that hyperlink and it will take you straight to the desktop version of Spotify, and you can start listening to the book right then and there as long as you've got a free account created. So that's one way. The second way that you can access this book for free and immediately, just like with Spotify, is you can use the app Hoopla. What you're going to need first is you're going to need a Sacramento Public Library card. If you don't have a Sacramento Public Library card, you can get one. It's not difficult. You can do it online. They will give you a temporary e-card so you can access their library right then and there. And I'll leave all the links and stuff like that for you guys to be able to get to these resources below the video. So you have to have a Sacramento Public Library card first, and then you can download onto your phone the Hoopla app. If you're not familiar with the Hoopla app, this is something you can only get through Sac Public Library. You can't get it through El Dorado County Library or Folsom Public Library. You have to get it through Sac County. And link your library card to the Hoopla app. You are allowed typically 5 downloads per month. And you get that download immediately. They have ebooks, they have audiobooks, they have some videos on there and everything. And what they have is they have the audiobook of Refugee on there. So that's how I listened to it, is I listened to it through the Hoopla app. So I just looked up Refugee, I downloaded it, and boom, I had it. Typically you're allowed 5 of those immediate downloads each month, but I believe they're upping it to like 7 or 9 while we're under this stay-at-home order. So it's a good thing to check out. There's a lot of young adult books on there. There are a lot of other really great books that are on there as well. So those are 2 ways that you can access this book for free. It's the audiobook. But otherwise, I mean, you can give Alan Gratz some love and buy it and put it on your Kindle also. So anyway, that's Refugee. I really hope you read it. It was a really great book. And I hope you guys are all doing good. And I hope that you guys are still reading and, taking this time to be able to do stuff like that, because typically you don't have the time to be able to read for pleasure. So I hope that you're finding books that you're reading and enjoying. Okay, so I'll be back next week with maybe the book that I'm reading right now, maybe not, maybe something different. And